Now, while the negotiations over Iran's nuclear program inch forward, so too do talks over the long-awaited UN Security Council resolution on Syria. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council are due to meet soon, following a decision from the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, which has been meeting in The Hague. All right, well, James Bays is still with us. James, just take us through the timetable for this. Should we expect to get a vote within the next few hours? And what have the Syrians been saying about it?
We're actually going to get a vote sooner than the next few hours. In exactly 1 hour's time, we're going to get a vote. The Organisation of the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the people who are going to be going into Syria to get hold of the chemical arsenal, they've approved all this in the last 20 minutes or so. That means there can be a full Security Council meeting, which will be taking place 1 hour from now. Around that table, many of the seats will be taken by foreign ministers rather than ambassadors, because they're all in town because we have world leaders in town this week in New York. John Kerry will be sitting in the US seat, we believe. Sergei Lavrov, his Russian counterpart, in the Russian seat. That vote will take place, as I say, in an hour's time. That will pave the way for the start of the work. The big question then is whether Syria will comply, a point I put earlier on to the Syrian Foreign Minister. Foreign Minister, are you confident of the prospects of peace right now?
Well, it's premature to speak about it. As long as fighting going on the ground.
Do you think there could be a deal that will bring everyone to Geneva?
I hope so. I hope so.
And what about the chemical weapons resolution?
Well, we welcome it. We welcome it because we are determined to go forward in the respect of destroying the chemical weapon.
And in terms of Geneva, are you prepared to concede on the role of President Assad, that he might step down?
Nobody can speak about the role of President Assad because it is mentioned in the Constitution. So we will not violate our Constitution. His role is for the Syrian people is very important and crucial.
It's worth remembering there are a lot of obstacles ahead. You heard that last comment that Assad is there because the constitution of the Syrian government. That is potentially an obstacle if they are going to try and get the sides together at Geneva. The latest I'm hearing is that the Geneva conference may slowly becoming a Geneva process, and that's certainly angering opposition sources that I am speaking to. There are potential problems as well with the idea of handing over the chemical weapons. Yes, we'll get the resolution, we think, in an hour's time, but one of the problems is that if you look back at Iraq when they did all of that work there, that was very difficult. But according to Hans BLIX, who used to lead the Iraq weapons inspectors, Syria will be even harder.
People were in Iraq in 2002, 2003. That was not a civil war. The Iraqis were not exactly enchanted by having us, and there was some resentment. But on the whole, they cooperated with us and were helpful, and no one was shooting at us. Maybe some would be spitting at us, but not shooting at us at any rate. In Syria today, during the full civil war, it must be very practically difficult. You cannot send out inspectors to check on things and living in live danger all the time. Maybe they will need some military escorts. Certainly they will need to have assurances from the Assad regime that they keep their troops under control. But can they have assurances from all the various rebel groups? They can have from some maybe, but I understand they needed many assurances in Damascus before they went on that day of expedition. So this is a very big practical task. Yet I would say that this chapter that you talk about, the removal, the elimination of the chemical weapons, perhaps is the less difficult chapter that they have to face. And the next one, clearly, somewhat linked to it, is the ceasefire and a peace conference in which to get the parties together to discuss a future kind of interim regime of some kind.
The fast-moving developments continue. Remember, Darren, just a few weeks ago, it looked like we were close to war. Now it looks like that resolution on the deal on chemical weapons, which has averted war, is going to be passed. We'll carry the vote live here on Al Jazeera in about an hour's time.
All right, James, we'll see you then. James Bays there at the United Nations in New York. James, thank you.